Hello, and thank you for watching Gone But Not Forgotten. I'm Tony Mead. On March 24th, 2012, Anya Slaughter dropped off her 19-year-old son, Kendrec McDade, at his father's house in Pasadena. That was the last time she saw him alive. In this episode of Gone But Not Forgotten, she recalls the joy he brought to her life and the nightmare she's now living.
I called my mom, and as soon as she answered the phone, I said, "Mama, they killed my baby. They killed my baby." I cried every day, man, for 29 months straight. Every single day. Not one day went by for 29 months that I didn't cry. I hated rainy days.
Well, his birthday is actually on Cinco de Mayo, so he's a Cinco de Mayo baby. So it's kind of like a Mexican tradition, so we kind of like didn't celebrate it as a Cinco de Mayo. Every year we did other things. We started off, I think his first birthday was Sesame Street. And then the second birthday was the circus theme. The third birthday, I did kind of like a buffet thing at the park, the third and fourth. And by the time he got to the sixth, we just started traveling, doing things like Disneyland, Knoxbury Farm, Raging Waters. We just started traveling instead of having parties. So I felt it was cheaper, then that way we can spend more quality time together, because I raised him as a single parent, so I worked 2 jobs. So I felt that I kind of wanted the birthday just to be me and him, so we can have a bonding time. He was number one all the time, it seemed like, and not to brag, he just was a good kid. I can remember his first award, I think it was 6th grade. He got an egg dropping award, and he won first place in that. And he came home and he told me, he said, "Mom, I won first place in this contest." I said, "What contest?" "I don't know, I just know I won first place." I said, "Well, what did you do?" He goes, "Well, we went up to the top of the roof and we dropped the egg down and I won first place." I'm like, "Well, congratulations." And from there, he just was on a winning spree to me. Everything was either first or second. He was just a phenomenal kid. He strived well and he did well the time that he was here. He loved football. He started off with flag, and then he went to tackle, and then he went on to play in high school. He ran track. He liked to swim. He liked to jog and run. We used to live in Azusa, so he would run up to the A all the time. That was probably about an hour run each way. He tried boxing for a minute, but that was only because I wanted him to do it. He didn't find any interest in it, so after about a year, he just stopped doing it. But his main thing was football.
Talk about the last day you saw your son.
The day I last saw my son was 7 days after I had Keon. And it was a Saturday. I was basically just laying around the house all day because I had Keon natural, so I was like in a lot of pain. And Kendrec was just there helping me with the baby. And that day I had the little sister Christine also from the dad's side of the family, and Kendrec and Christine wanted the dad to come out to the house, and he never came. So later on that day, around 5:30 or 6, Kendrec asked me to bring them out here to Pasadena because we lived in Azusa. And I was like, I just had this baby, it's getting cold, you better hurry up, let's do it now. So he took about an hour, hour and a half. I could say I dropped him off for a little bit after 7. And all of that happened after 11. So within 3 to 4 hours after I dropped my son off to visit his father's side of the family, he was murdered. I actually was never notified. I got up the next morning and I was reading the paper on my iPad, and I saw where the Pasadena Police had killed someone. And it didn't have an age. It had an age which was the wrong age. At the time, Kendrec was 19 and it said 20, but it didn't have a name. So my first response was, Jesus, the Pasadena Police has killed somebody else's child. When are they going to stop doing this? I'm so glad me and my kids are out of there. Within 3 hours, his dad called me. And the first thing he asked me was, Anya, did you come back and get Kendrec? Last night I said, no. I said, he told me he was going to stay and you were going to bring him back. He goes, well, he's not here. Oh, he's not there. He said, are you sure you didn't come back and get out? I said, no. I said, well, what I'll do is I'll come by after church. So we'll come out there later for church. He goes, Anya, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. He's not here. And that just wasn't Kendrec's character not to be there. So I started calling his phone. And I kept calling his phone and he wouldn't answer. And that is just not like him, not to answer the phone. So about 45 minutes later, his dad called back. And he said, I see the police killed Kendrec. And I just started screaming and hollering. And I said, no. What happened? He said, they tried to say he robbed a taco truck. And I said, no. They got the wrong kid. That's not Kendric's character. He's not a thief. I said, I saw that in the paper. That wasn't Kendrec. That person was 20 years old. And he said, no, everybody in the neighborhood is coming around here telling me it was him because it happened right around the corner from where his dad lived. And so he said, you gotta come out here right now because they won't give me any information. And I just was hysterical. I was screaming and hollering, and my neighbor heard me hollering. So he came and he started banging on the door. He said, are you okay? And I just couldn't talk. At the time, I called my mom. And so
soon as she answered the phone, I said, Mama, they killed my baby. They killed my baby. So my neighbor heard me. And he just came in my door and just started comforting me. And him and his wife was asking me was asking me did I need any help. And I was so frustrated I couldn't think. I just was running. I just kept running through my house, just running. Then my kids started hollering and so the kid called me back and he said, Anya, you gotta come out here right now because they don't want to give me any information. So I tried to pull myself together and I just couldn't. I had to lay there for another 45 minutes to an hour. So finally my neighbor said, hey, I'm going to drive you. You know what I'm saying? Just get your stuff, get the baby and stuff together. I'm going to take you. So he brought me to Pasadena to the police station. When I pulled up, Detective Gomez and Kendric's dad, Ken, was standing on the sidewalk. And he walked up to me and he said, ma'am, what's your name? I said, Anya Slaughter. Can I see your ID? I don't have my ID on me. So then I had to go back to the car and stuff to get the ID. And so he said, well, your son committed a robbery last night. And in the midst of all that, he expired. And I said, what? I said, no, my son didn't commit a robbery. I know my baby. My son did not do this. I said, I'm telling you, I bet you he's over somebody else's sleep because he been up all night playing that game. It's the weekend. He used to stay up all night long sometime on that PlayStation. So I said, I bet you any kind of money he's over somebody else's sleep. I got the wrong person. And so he put me in the back of his car and he took me to Huntington. And on the way to Huntington, he kept saying, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what y'all do with y'all kids. He just tried to make me seem like Kendrick committed this crime and I was a bad parent. I don't know what you guys teach your kids. You need to learn how to teach your kids not to steal and things like this wouldn't happen. And so I said, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I know my child. He didn't put his hands on nothing that didn't belong to him. So we get down to Huntington and they put me in this room. All of a sudden, all these detectives just started coming from nowhere. All these police started coming. So I get to the room, and then I just started getting a chill down my body. I just started shaking. I started shaking, and I started getting hysterical, so I ran out of that room. And I ran to the bathroom, and I barricaded myself in the bathroom in the hallway for about an hour. And I was just hollering and screaming, hitting my head on the wall. And I was begging God not just for that not to be my baby he took from me. I kept saying, Lord, please let this be a mistaken identity. Don't let heart he didn't do this. So the police started banging on the door, telling me to come out. And so when I came back out, they walked me back to that room they had me in. And then here it is, the chief, and all these other people. So the guy started asking me about that Greg, little guy Greg. I didn't know him. I knew Kendrec knew him because he lived in the neighborhood, the same neighborhood as the family lived in, the dad's family. And so he asked me, I said, I didn't know him. He goes, what do you mean you don't know him? I said, what did I just tell you, sir? I don't know him. I mean, that's irrelevant. I'm here because you're telling me that you killed my son. And so he goes, well, he was involved in the robbery with him. And I was like, I don't care what you say. My son didn't do no robbery. And so the chief came in and he sat down in front of me. And I asked him, I said, can you please tell me that this is all a mistaken identity? And he goes, he looked over at the Detective Gomez first, and he just started huffing, and he kept doing this. So after about 3 or 4 of those, Detective Gomez cuts in, he goes, we have reason to believe that he was involved in this. And Ken started screaming and hollering at them both, and they were exchanging words back and forth. And I just sat there for a minute. And then I said, I don't believe it's my son. And so he said, well, if I let you identify him, can you promise me that you won't try to grab him? And I said, at the time, Mom was like, yep, I can promise you that because the person you're about to show me is not my child. So I sat there, and they went out of the room, and they came back about 15 minutes later, and he pulled out Kendric's California ID picture. And right then, I just started screaming. I said, I can't do it. So I never identified him. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to see my baby like that. I couldn't bear to see him like that. I sat there crying, and I just cried. And I guess about 25 or 30 minutes later, Ken came out of the hospital, and when I looked up at him, he was crying. That was the first time I had ever seen him cry. And I knew then that it was Kendrec. And I just took off running up Fair Oaks, just screaming, pulling my hair out. I just didn't know what to do. It was raining. I was soaking wet. I didn't care. I lost a shoe. I just wanted my baby that day. I just wanted to be able to hug my baby or look up at him and let him kiss me on my cheek like he usually do. And I just kept looking up at the sky, and the rain was falling down on me, and I kept asking God, why? Why me? What did he do? He didn't deserve this because he didn't do anything negative. So I got back to kids' house. And I got my kids. By that time, family members started coming in. I just didn't want to be bothered with nobody. So I got my kids and I went home. I just cried. Ever since this has happened to me, and it's 3 years later, someone in my immediate family has been with me. They've switched shifts. Someone has always been with me constantly because of my emotions and everything is just tossing and turning. Some days are better than the others. Some days I can adjust. Some days I can't. Some days I might crack a joke. And some days I don't want to be bothered or I'm snappy. So my life is like a roller coaster.
What would you tell other parents about your loss?
It's a pain that I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's hard to say what I can tell anyone right now because I'm still in so much pain. I still feel bitter. I blame myself. I hate that I dropped him off. I wish that I just would have said no or so many things. I blame his dad because he wasn't a dad and he wasn't there. If he would have been there that one day or probably picked him up that day, that one day he wanted him to, maybe things would have been different. I don't know what to tell my kids or what to tell another mother right now because I haven't fully accepted my grief myself. He was loving. He was caring. He was respectful. He was kind, generous, ongoing, funny. He was full of life. He was full of life.
The district attorney ruled the shooting was justified, and both officers were back on duty within the year. Thank you for watching this episode of Gone But Not Forgotten. I'm Tony Mead.
I don't think I will ever be able to let things go. When I lost Kendrec, I lost a part of me. It's like a puzzle. You know how you lose a puzzle, but one piece of the puzzle? What do you do with that puzzle? Do you throw that puzzle away? Or do you try to adapt with that one piece gone? It's just a wound that will always be there.